My name is Mallory Wainwright, and I was looking into the topic about the relationship between parenting influences in physical activity in children with cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy is a condition that affects movement and muscle coordination and is also one of the most common disabilities in children with CP. They usually have problems with developmental delays, motor skills, coordination, and reflexes. Recently, sedentary behavior has become very prevalent in children with CP. There was a recent study that concluded that parenting can actually control and dictate a child's life. CP can be very hard to manage as a parent because of money, stress, and other social factors. There's a variety of different parental influences, and depending on the parental involvement and encouragement, it can also affect the child's physical activity levels. The purpose of this proposed investigation is to examine the relationship between parenting influences and physical activity in children with CP. In the methodology section, it was decided that participants were children with spastic CP with either a 1 or 2 gross motor function classification scale, while the ages ranged from 5 to 18 years old. There was a total of 30 families tested with 10 boys and 20 girls. Parents then would take a 17-item self-report questionnaire regarding their child's participation in physical activity and the various ways that they could influence it. Some of the questions were mainly about parent support, restrictiveness, and their personal participation in physical activity. It was based on a 5-point scale from strongly agree to strongly disagree. After the questionnaire, the children were asked to wear pedometers for all hours 7 days a week. Data was gathered from the questionnaires and totaled each section with a possible score that ranged from 0 to 90. And then the steps of the children were also gathered. To determine the relationship, we used the Pearson product correlation analysis between the averages and the correlation coefficients between variables and the significance. The results in APA format determined that in the descriptive statistics, parent influences was a little over 50%, while physical activity in children averaged about 4,904.2 steps per day. The model summary then went over the R-squared, which was 0.029. That means that parent influences is only 2.9% of the variances in physical activity scores, which is very low. The ANOVA table went over the p-value, which was higher than 0.05. That indicates that the independent variable is not a significant predictor of the dependent variable. While looking at the graph also, you can see that there is no relationship between the variables at all. The data was not expected because since there has been such a lack of physical activity in CP, the idea was to see if parents could actually influence that. The hypothesis was also not supported because there was no relationship between the two variables. The lack of physical activity in children with CP can influence future research because it has ruled out the relationship between parent influences, so there has to be another factor that could influence it. Thank you.